Lonnie Jordan, how are you?
I'm good.
All right, Lonnie, let's go back to the beginning. First, I did want to ask you one thing. You are originally from San Diego?
Yes, I was born in San Diego.
What part of San Diego are you from?
It doesn't exist anymore, so I don't remember. Duke Street, Duke Hospital, 1948. The infrastructure changed totally.
Oh, it has. Yeah, I'm Escondido, 1959, so I kind of grew up in the North County. Going back to the days before war, were you in another band? Were there a couple of bands? There was one called Night Shift, and there was also another band which was called The Creators. Is that right?
Well, The Creators were that was the first name. And then it evolved into the Night Shift, became War. When Eric out with this, Eric Burden.
He was with you at first. Now, going back all the way to the beginning in War, did you play different instruments then than you do now?
I always played different instruments. Bongos, drums, bass, piano, organ, vocals.
You had more than one duty in the band.
It depends on if I had to do something in the studio, but I never did it on stage. I only played keyboards on stage. But in the studio, if I had to play some other instruments, I was capable of doing it.
Multi-instrumentalist, so to speak.
Pretty much, yeah. And I also played husband. That was back then. That was back in the day.
So it kind of all started around the early 70s, 1970, 71, 72 for War, and then the first albums came?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. But in the 60s, that's when we were the Creators. I would say beginning of, I'd say 62 and 3.
Were most of those clubs around San Diego or parties, or did you guys play up in L.A. as well?
No, well, I moved from San Diego when I was 5 years old. I was born in 48. My family moved to Compton, California. I got older. I met Howard Scott, Harold Brown. Harold was from Long Beach. Howard and I are both Compton, and some of the other guys, one of the other guys, Harbor City, and then San Pedro. So we all played the L.A. scene back then, the dive, the dive clubs.
Right.
And we were called the Creators, and we did what we had to do, and that's just play.
It seemed to me like you guys were out to spread the message of brotherhood and harmony with the music.
As War. Yes.
Yeah. And could you elaborate on that a little? How did that come about? Did that come from your childhood, from where you lived as a young man, from what you saw around you? That went to the music, and then you provided something to expose people and create that harmony?
Yeah, exactly what you just said. It was basically our environment at the time when we were younger. Yeah, we've seen a lot growing up. But, for us, we didn't know any other way of life, except for television, when you would see TV shows like The Beaver, Ozzie and Harriet, and that's the only other life that we knew outside of Compton, Long Beach, San Pedro, Watts, Harbor City, name it. We didn't know.
What made you guys turn to music? Were you all people who wanted to learn to play, or did some of you already, adopt an instrument and you were anxious to jam with somebody else?
Well, we thought we could play. So we just took that mentality and just started putting a band together and just played. We trusted our ears, whether we sounded good or bad. But then that helped us develop our style, and it helped us develop learning how to play an instrument with one another. And it was better with each other than it was by ourselves. Because then we started understanding music a little bit better through each other and sharing the radio or the record player with each other, listening to other music.
What about the early radio influences? What were you guys listening to in the L.A. area? Do you remember back in the late 60s and in the early 70s? Were there any influences or certain radio stations that affected your music?
Oh, yeah, all genres of the radio. I'm talking about country and western, R&B, pop. At the time, it was called pop. It wasn't rock, it was just pop. And we were influenced by a lot of genres of music live also. We just, we weren't confined to one style of music or one type of music. We were open to everything because that helped us learn how to play, was to be able to hear all genres of music, whether it be jazz, country and western, pop, R&B. And James Brown was a big influence. Mahalia Jackson, believe it or not, and that was gospel. The Everly Brothers. The list goes on. I could probably name so many people with you. That would be the end of our whole interview here.
Little Richard and Jerry Lee Lewis, just to name a couple more, most likely.
Oh yeah, I like I said, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on.
Okay.
Bo Diddley, Richard Berry.
Oh yeah. Now, you guys are doing the World is a Ghetto 50th anniversary tour, correct?
Well, we prefer to pretty much jam as much as we can because we are a jam band. And if we're tight with time, remember, we have a list of songs that we've recorded over time. We want to make sure that we cover a lot of people because a lot of times, I don't care if it is a Why Can't We Be Friends tour or a Lowrider tour or the World is a Ghetto tour, and we do a short show, we still walk out of there with people, why didn't you play my song? Why didn't you play this? Why didn't you play that? So you just can't please everyone. So you got to please yourself.
And they love the hits. I've had people tell me that many times. The first album that I ever bought, which was a WAR album, was the live album. I was amazed because I heard jazz, I heard blues, and I heard those live jams. And that's something that the live jams is something that you guys still love to do while you're on stage, correct?
Oh, yeah. That's what made us, and that's what we'll continue doing. Yeah, that's the fun part. Keeps us going, and the people love it. Yeah.
Now, as far as concerts, I think the first time I saw you was somewhere in San Diego. It must have been Balboa Park sometime in the 70s. And then I went for years and didn't see you guys again until the 90s. And it seems like, and that was in Santa Maria, it seems like you guys are here most every year or at least every other year now. I have seen you guys in Santa Maria and in Paso Robles quite a few times, maybe even in Avila Beach before, but you always seem to make it back here to the Central Coast.
Well, we used to do the fair in Paso Robles
yes.
Many times. In fact, every year. And it was like burning hot, that I remember. But it was fun. Small town, but we loved it. And also keep in mind that we took a break for a while. And we had to, kind of like revise, and see if we can go into the studio and make some more music. But what we did was we went to the studio and started doing some more reissues, a lot of reissues. And we try to reach everyone at any given time, because everyone needs music. Everyone wants to pretty much be cured by music. Music is healing.
Do you feel that way when you're on stage?
I feel like one big world on stage. I feel like I am the word global on stage. And I know that a lot of people used to try to put names on us, put a name as far as like what type of band we are. Some people used to call us an Afro jazz Cuban band. Some say reggae. And the list goes on. And that's part of the reason why we never won any awards, because no one knew how to categorize us. I feel like one big global band, and it makes me feel good. Again, that's why we never won any awards. And I don't mind that. But the fact that we never won any awards only keeps us working all the time, because we can play for a multi-genre of people or venues.
And that's so healthy for the world.
Yeah.
Not just for California. No Grammy Awards.
Nope, but we've been up for it, but would always lose to someone that's in one genre. Of the music industry, which is fine with me because, hey, I have my award, and that's my Rock and Roll Hall of Fans, so I don't worry about any other.
Are you in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Well, we've been up for it. We've been to be nominated, but we've lost 3 times, and it's still fine with me because we still sell out crowds at venues. And I always remind those people that they are our Rock and Roll Hall of Fans. And that's not a trophy. Those are real people you can touch and watch them smile and have emotions. That's the kind of fame I like. as my legacy.
Regardless of an award or not, you can still be up there on stage and spread the brotherhood and the love from that stage to the people.
That's right, as a doctor of music.
Now, are you actively writing any new music? Do you feel like you have some music or some lyrics inside of you dying to get out?
Myself, my partner, Jerry Goldstein, we're in the studio as we speak, doing a reissue album again, but then we're also working on new material, which I can't tell you what it is yet because I might have to look for you. I can't tell you. I just don't want anyone to know it because I don't want to hear the music by someone else before I put it out.
Oh, yeah. Do you feel that live music and or recorded music that people purchase and listen to, do you think that it could bring peace to the world, that it could change the world?
Yeah, I would have to say off the top of my head, that depends on bringing music to a certain type of venue that can bring all genres of people together that love the same music. I know we did that years ago. We brought all genres of people, although some couldn't get along with one another, then that helped us start writing songs on the fly, like Why Can't We Be Friends? People got into it, and they started getting into each other. And we played on the words, and or Slipping in the Darkness. We're slipping in the darkness right now, or The World is a Ghetto. One person trying to make someone else feel little, whereas we're all the same people, living in the same world, breathing the same air and everything. So I really believe that music, can bring people together peacefully. Again, it depends on the venue, whether it's outdoors or indoors. And unfortunately, the way the world is today, you have to be careful, at venues now. You just don't know. But I'm sure someone in the legal team or the White House will come to a conclusion how to at least protect the entertainers in a building or outdoor venue, from any chaos.
Back in the 60s and the 70s, especially at the outdoor venues, all you pretty much had to worry about was a beach ball landing on stage. Now people throw things. You don't want a bottle or anything else coming your way.
Really? Yeah, I don't. No bottles. It's all a beer. Whether it's empty or full, it still hurts.
Lonnie, I wanted to ask you, in the old days of WAR, as the band progressed and evolved, did you guys search for songs that you thought might be hits, that might hit the top 40 chart or the top 10? Or did the old songs that went up to the top 10 or became number ones, did they just work themselves up there?
You just said it. They just worked themselves up there because we never expected any of our music to even play on the radio. We didn't believe it, because there was no music out there or on the radio that sounded like us. And we thought, we probably don't belong, because everyone else has the guitars and, the same groove, same rhythm. But, we were just a little bit different. And every song was different from the last one. But all of a sudden, I'm saying, what's going on? People like this stuff? And the radio didn't really give us an easy time for our music to be played on the radio during the 70s. But we managed.
You sure did. You guys kind of stood out in your own category, and it was something fresh. It was something new to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. You would never hear a Cisco Kid on the radio unless it was us. or Why Can't We Be Friends? It was different. That's all I have to say. Slipping in the Darkness, It was in its own category, its own world. But yet it spread out to all people of all genres. And that was the most beautiful part of it. It reached everyone in the world.
When Cisco Kid came out, I could kind of see it. I would listen to the lyrics of the music, and I could kind of see those guys. The drinking of the wine was that song, Cisco Kid, taken from a real experience.
Cisco Kid was actually a series on television back in the 60s, the mid-60s. It was before television became color. You know, it was Duncan Ronaldo and Leo Carrillo. Duncan Ronaldo was the Cisco Kid, and Pancho was his sidekick. It was out at the same time that Zorro was out, Hopalong Cassidy, you know, all those cowboy Western series.
That was a little before my time, but I vaguely remember it. What about the inspiration for the song Lowrider? Now, that is one of your biggest hits, and I don't have a 59 Chevy, but when I hear that song in the car, I roll down the windows, and I might back the seat up just a little bit and slow down a little bit. What a groove that is, and it takes you for a ride. Now, did you look around and just see Lowriders and decide to write the song was written about it by WAR, or how did that come about?
Well, pretty much yes and no. But back in the day, I would say back in the 60s, first of all, there were a car club. Well, even before that, there were a hot rod car clubs. And then there were in-crowd car clubs. It was called I'm In With the In-Crowd, which was Dobie Gray, the same Dobie Gray that wrote the song Give Me a Beat, Boys, and Free My Soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. The same guy. So he wrote I'm In With the In-Crowd, the R&B hit, and that was about being in an in-crowd, a clique. Not a gang, but a clique that had nice metal flake cars and stuff like that, but they weren't called lowriders. We saw lowriders in two different car club entities. One was called the Dukes, one was called the Imperials. And they were pretty much competing with each other, you know, to have the best cars and best women driving side by side with them. So we just took an idea, you know, that they called themselves lowriders, and we said, well, why don't we just make the world know about you guys? Because no one really knew about them, except for parts of California, parts of Albuquerque, and parts of Arizona. So we wrote the song, and the song went everywhere. So everyone knew what they were from that point on.
Wow. Has that song been sampled by anybody?
I think we have Flow Rider. Remember Flow Rider? He's a rapper. He used parts of it. Beastie Boys used some sampled pieces of it. The list goes on. I mean, I don't have the sheet in front of me, but there's been a list of people sampled that song. A lot of people just outright used the song. You know?
Yeah.
And it's been used in a lot of movies and commercials and stuff like that.
I wanted to ask you, too, Slipping Into Darkness. There's another song. When I first heard it and I was a kid, I thought, okay, it's about somebody slipping in the dark. But I think the story behind that song, is that about going towards darkness, going towards evil, going towards trouble?
Yeah, and it's just like you said, slipping into the dark, slipping into the dark side, you know? Instead of turning around and see there is light on your other side and going to the light instead of the dark. Yeah, going into evil, bad. Turn around and go into the good. That's what it's about. Actually, it's our first gospel song, but no one would believe me when I tell them that. It's actually a gospel song for us that we wrote.
I could definitely see that, keeping people in the light and in the love and away from the darkness and the harm.
There you go. Yep.
I wanted to ask you, is there anybody who you have not played with that you would either like to jam with or record with in your lifetime? Anybody you really look up to, or is somebody you've just heard recently maybe and said, man, I like that groove. I would give anything just to play a song on stage with them.
Well, I have played jam with so many people. I think at my age right now, the only person that I would like to jam with right now that I look up to, and I jam with that person all the time, and that's my wife. We jam all the time, and that's not a joke.
Does she play?
We jam all the time, huh?
She plays, and what does she play? Does she sing?
Well, in the shower, but then she's a chef, a vegan chef. Her studio is the kitchen, and she's in there making up some... what the hillbillies called, what do they call it?
Vittles?
Grandma, vittles. There you go. I knew you knew. Yeah, she makes up some vittles, man. Unbelievable. And that's music to my stomach right there. That's jamming for me.
The way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
That's right. And then music comes out. then music comes out. Okay, I'm not going to repeat that. But there's a lot of people, because I'm the type of musician that play all genres of music, there's no particular group or person that I like to jam with. I love to jam with everybody because it's all about music, to my ears, to my stomach, my heart. That's what I'm about, is music. And all music is great to me.
It is. Did you find when you were just a boy, before you were 10 years old, were you drawn to music? For me, it was about 4 years old and 3 years old, and I heard music come out of the radio. Were you drawn to that? And did you latch on to that and want to hear more and more?
Oh, my past life, yeah. I had cousins that would play albums, and I would look on the back of the cover at the liner notes, and while the record was playing, and I said, wow, I'd love to. If I could do that, I would just close my eyes and dream that was me. Or I would listen to the radio and listen to all these different music playing, and I would just say, oh, wow, that could be me, And I dreamed of being on the radio one day or being on a billboard, a lit-up billboard. I used to dream of that. Then when I finally saw it, I wasn't so excited no more.
Well, probably at the time you were anxious to get the rehearsal done and make sure everything was set up so you could do the show.
Yeah, I was ready to go on the road now. Forget the billboards and stuff now. I'm ready to work now. I want to get to the people now, not through billboards and stuff.
How many shows are you doing a year?
You know something? I've never counted my shows. I have no idea. I can only give you how many years I performed as WAR, and I can only give you the beginning of that year, which was 1970. So you do the math to now. I've never stopped performing.
That's a lot of shows, Lonnie. You are the final original member of the band WAR. Mm-hmm. Was there a time that you thought to yourself, I'm so happy that I can keep this music coming and this legend, the collective of songs that WAR has released over the decades, that I can keep this alive? Or do you feel like it was kind of your purpose to keep it alive?
Both. My purpose, and I'm honored that I can, that the people got my back, because I'm a reflection of the people and vice versa. And, getting back to the fame thing, my audience, man, that's my Rock and Roll Hall of Fans. And they keep me active as well as my wife's food and my wife's love, And yes, I just want to keep doing this without, anything getting in the way. There's always obstacles, but those are temporary things, Anything that gets in my way and try to draw me or bring me down, I know that will always pass. Put it that way. And I can just keep going, because where one door closes, a major French door opens. And I know that. And I found that out through my music. Healing.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does, Lonnie. Are there any current releases or re-releases that you would like to mention to people that are on sale now online and at their local record stores?
Yes. We have the 50th plus Anniversary Collection Edition, The World is a Ghetto, that's out right now. And if you Google that, you'll see a lot of music on there, including outtakes of how it was made and all of that, schooling the young kids on how the music was made back in the 70s. The album you can get in any record store. You can get it online. And we don't really carry any of the merch. We just carry our shirts and hats and stuff like that. This album here, it has a 5-record set in the box. One album is heavy. So can you imagine having 5? We would need a box or a crate just to carry 5 albums.
I could say it's out on vinyl.
It's not out on CD. No, just vinyl.
Yeah, and vinyl is back. Thank goodness for that. It's hard to move when you have vinyl. I know I had mini crate that I would have to load up in a truck with many loads when I was younger. But I'm glad vinyl is back. I love the sound of vinyl. I'm glad your latest release is on vinyl. And we can look forward to seeing you at the Vina Robles Amphitheatre May the 4th. You've heard of the movie Star Wars. May the 4th be with you. That's the day that WAR will play at the Vina Robles Amphitheatre.
May the 4th be with you. I like that.
What inspired the song Summertime?
You just said it, summer, and it was during that time that song was inspired. We were in the studio actually mixing, myself and Jerry Goldstein, my producer in crime. We were mixing at Sound City in the Valley. And at the time, I was eating meat, and I went over and grabbed me a burger. And as I was driving back, I listened to the radio, and all of a sudden, this song came on, Try It Your Way. And I heard that melody, and I went back to the studio, started eating, and I got on the piano, and I started playing this song, da, 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 and that was it. And I said, I like that melody. I said, 'cause it's summer, and I went the rest of the way. Summertime is here. Yeah. So I was inspired by Burger King, but not by the food. Or maybe I should say I was inspired by the food back then.
Yeah.
You know?
How long have you been a vegetarian?
Vegan.
Vegan.
Yeah, well, I was vegetarian about 15 years before. And then 15 years ago, I started being vegan. No dairy or meat.
Have you noticed that makes you feel better, that you're able to get out and tour more, that you just feel better in body, mind, and soul that way?
And spirit. I'll be 76 years old this year. So I feel much younger than I did back when I was in my 20s. I was like stiff, old, and thought that was it for me. And finally, later on in my years, when I turned vegan, I realized, hey, there is a new life. I have found the fountain of youth. Vegan, taking care of my body, taking care of me so that I can perform and sing. It's helped my voice, my body, mind, everything. I'm happy and made me happy.
So you can make us happy.
There you go.
With that live music.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are looking forward to the show on May the 4th at the Vina Robles Amphitheatre. Lonnie Jordan of WAR, thank you so much for taking some time out and talking to us, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you for bringing the music and the magic of it to the planet.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Lonnie, it was great talking to you. You have a good day, and we're looking forward to your show. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you then.